Hey, what's good everybody? It's Andy. Hope your news is off to a good start. Mine's been pretty rocking. I'm already just a week away from turning the big 4-0. Pretty crazy to think about how fast time is flying by, but it seems to happen when you're out there having fun, man. Wanted to talk about my hitch mount bike rack that I have from 1UP. I've had it for a little over a year now, so I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on how it works, some quirks, what I like about it, what I don't, and let's go over it. So originally I had the Quad NV 2.0. And I liked the rack. It's a really good looking rack, had some good features, the built-in bike stand was cool, but there was an issue with the rack being on the Honda Accord that I had at the time. So when I bought the NV 2.0, I was still driving my Subaru Outback, and with that thing I didn't have any clearance issues. But I had to trade that in because it was having issues. I bought a Honda Accord. When I put it on the Accord, I found very quickly that if I was driving through any kind of a divot or any kind of a dip, there was pretty bad clearance issues, and it would scrape the rack specifically on the handle that would tighten the rack to the hitch. So that was not going to work. I got rid of that and started shopping around and doing some research, and I thought maybe that the 1UP would help because of the way it's built. It slants up in the back. So the 1UP did relieve my issue with clearance quite a bit, but that's not to say it hasn't scraped. It has scraped 1 to 2 times since I've gotten it with the Accord, obviously not with the Taco. You can see it right there. It's scraped on the bottom of the lock because when I put it in the rack, I put it in like this. If you have a car that sits low, you could still run into issues with clearance. Just a heads up. Shipping was quick, and the box that they shipped it in was pretty rad because you can actually keep that as a place of storage for the rack if you ever have to set it aside or you bought the add-on and don't use it all the time. So other than the fact that it would hopefully give me some relief in clearance, why did I pick this one? One, because it doesn't make contact with the bike frame. It only makes contact with the tires. 2, it's adjustable. It fits different tire sizes. And 3, it's modular. So one of the things that I did not like about the NV 2.0 was how heavy it was. I think that thing was pretty close to like 55, 60 pounds because it had the 2 trays on it, and that thing's pretty burly. With the 1UP, I don't have to have the second tray on it all the time. I can take it off with just a couple of bolts. That alone is only like 20 something pounds, and it makes it a lot smaller. So that comes in handy when you're driving in public and you're having to find parking spots and all that stuff. You can back up and not worrying about hitting anything with the extra tray. I really love the fact that it's modular. Adding that second tray only takes a couple minutes. It's held in place by 2 bolts, super easy to put on. Once the rack is in the hitch, all you gotta do is take the 2 bolts that you need, thread them in to give yourself a point to anchor, slide the add-on on, tighten the bolts, and you're ready to rock. 2 bikes. You can actually add up to 3. So I think each tray holds up to 50 pounds, so you have 150 pounds with the bikes that you can throw on the rack and you're still good. The part of the rack that goes into the hitch has a fastener system a lot like the NV 2.0. Once you get into the hitch, you tighten it down with the Allen wrench, and there's a ball inside of the rack itself that expands out and keeps the rack from shaking side to side and up and down. It's been super sturdy. Driving on the highway, driving through the neighborhood, potholes, all that stuff, off-road, gravels, rocks and stuff like that, you don't really see the bike shake a whole lot, which is pretty awesome. Another nice touch that they put on it is the 1.25" to 2" adapter. It's a plate that bolts onto the shaft that goes into your hitch, comes on and off in a matter of seconds, and that gives you the ability to use the same rack on an 1.25" hitch or a 2" hitch. So if I have to use the Honda Accord one day for whatever reason, all I have to do is take that plate off, and then once I get my Taco back, I can put the plate back on, good to go. Getting the rack on and off the car is super easy. Fastening it down with this little Allen wrench that comes with it. It has this little divot in the middle, so it's not just a normal Allen wrench. If someone comes up to it with just a regular Allen wrench and tries to loosen it up, it's not going to happen. But that's not to say that they can't get the rack off your car, because anyone that has this can do it, or they could just take the same size hex wrench and probably just drill a little impression in there, and they can get the rack off your car. So if you're worried about theft, this is the pin lock that they sell. This piece comes apart through here, key tightens and loosens through that. Pretty straightforward. So let's talk about some things that I don't like about this rack. I don't like this lock. Why? Not because it doesn't work. It actually works great. But they're charging you $20 for this. And if you want to lock the add-on, you have to buy another lock for another $20. This isn't just one up. There's other brands that have done this in the past. If I'm spending as much as I am on a rack, can you just throw this in? I mean, you're charging us 20 bucks, so your cost is maybe 10, probably more like 5, if that. If I'm spending $350 on the rack and I have to spend another $250 on the add-on, throw these suckers in, man. Come on. So in the year and a half that I've had it, I've only had one issue. There's one specific bolt that for some reason will tighten itself down to the point where you can't move the arms that secure to the wheel. I didn't know what was going on at first. One day I went out to the rack and was trying to lift it up, and I was like, man, that took a lot of force. And then when I got the bike on the rack, I tried to secure the arms onto the tires, and that was not moving. So I felt like I was gonna snap it. I took some lithium grease, I sprayed all the joints, nothing. So I called one up, and they said that this happens to the driver's side bolt quite a bit. And the only solution is to loosen the bolt itself. You only take like a quarter turn or a full turn and you're good to go. It's a weird issue, but it's not a huge issue, I guess, because it doesn't seem like something that would compromise the security or the ability of the rack for itself to hold onto the bike. It's just kind of an annoyance. It has happened to my passenger side bolt as well. All I do is just loosen it up and good to go. Two things I'd like to mention about this rack if you have one or you're thinking about getting one. When you're at the trailhead and you've unloaded everything, you're about to take off, don't forget to take the security arms and fold them back in. I guess this goes for any rack that has arms that come out like that, because one, I've seen someone's car snag the arm while they were pulling out, not realizing that the car next to them, the rack was left open like that. Saw someone riding through the cars in the parking lot, snagged their handlebar on it and went down because they weren't paying attention, but also some random rack was just hanging out. The other thing is the way the arm cinches down. A lot of people just push the arm in and you'll hear the ratcheting of the mechanism. I feel like that's possibly unnecessary wear, so to make myself feel better about myself, I like to take my hand, lift up the arm lever, and then slide it in to where that thing's not ratcheting along the teeth, because once those things wear out, you're gonna have to replace it. I do have one suggestion for one up, and I think it would improve the functionality for people that do carry bikes of different wheel sizes. The pin in the security arm that goes across that cinches down onto the tire, that requires a tool for you to take off and readjust it or reposition it. If they could figure out a way to make that happen without a tool, that would be awesome. All in all, I think it's the best rack I've ever had. I've had racks from Saris, Thule, Yakima, Kuat. This is by far the most modular, the easiest to use. It's the lightest when I only need one tray. Lots of good things about it. All the bad things are just cosmetics, like the welds. They look like someone chewed up bubble gum and just slapped them on and said, there you go. Goodbye, sell it, put some paint on it. This thing looks like a DIY project. That's why I ended up spending a little extra on the black one, because the silver one just looks like someone was in the garage and just slapped some stuff together. I remember the first time when I saw one on the road, I was like, what in the world is that thing? That is ugly. This thing is the epitome of function over form. It's not gonna win any design awards, but it does the job. And that one bolt issue, that's really it. I would suggest this rack to anybody looking for a hitch mount rack. It's been awesome. And it's made in the USA. Woo! So I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight on the one-up rack if you've been researching it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments. I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you around.